Thank you all so much for being here this morning. And, this, I believe, is one of the largest turnouts we've had since we've been doing this over the course of the last 5 years. I also want to say a word of thank you to Jennifer Evans and Stephen and the staff here at the Chapman Cultural Center for, again, opening your doors to our school district. You've been such a great partner for us, and we appreciate all you do. A lot of people I want to thank this morning. And I want to start off, Alan, again, thank you for bringing greetings. Julie, thank you. Kara, what talented students we have in our school district. And Fred, if you will send our regards to Ms. Wilson and the students. I didn't want to get them out of class to come and sing today. But they did open up at a regional conference back in February. Leader in Me, which is a international school-wide program now, they do regional conferences all over the country. And they have paid attention to the work going on here in Spartanburg, not just at Cleveland, but a couple of other Leader in Me schools. And they decided to host their conference here this year. So 500 people from all over showed up at the Marriott and had a wonderful time here in Spartanburg. So if Ed Mimmett's here, thank the district for a little economic development here in the city. But I want to begin by acknowledging, where this all starts. We have a wonderful board of trustees in our school district. They're a group of visionary leaders. They look at what's going on from a high level and are very engaged in what's going on. And I want to publicly acknowledge them at this time. So if you'll hold your applause, Julie Lonnan, if you'll stand, and if you guys will remain standing. Julie serves as our board chair. Ms. Sharon Porter is here. Ms. Porter serves as our vice chair. Mr. Sanders Lee is here with us this morning. Our secretary, he'll be signing a lot of papers moving forward after this referendum. Vernon Beatty couldn't be with us this morning. Ms. Meg Clayton is here. Where's Meg? Saw her. Meg is one of our newest board members, was recently elected, and hopped right into it. Mr. Rick Gray, Mr. Andy Hayes, I think I saw Andy come in. Clay Mahaffey is here with us. Clay is one of our recent board members as well. Glad to have him on the board, and Dr. Ernest White. Also, if we have any former board members who are here with us this morning, can you stand, because you've laid such a great foundation for us. And I see a number of our former board members here this morning. Please join me in thanking our board for what they've done. We have on this district team 1,200 wonderful employees who work tirelessly on behalf of our children. And I want to spend some time recognizing them this morning as well. Julie already referenced our administrators. And I know we have a number of our school level administrators and district staff members who are here. So if you are here this morning, can you please stand so we can acknowledge you as well? Any of our district staff, school level administrators, please stand at this time. Thank you guys for what you do. Thank you. And on behalf of a wonderful committed corps of teachers, and I don't know why I haven't thought about this, but we invited our Teachers of the Year to be with us this morning as well. And they are with us, and they represent the best of the best of the best. And they are the ambassadors. This isn't just a title. They serve with what we call the Teacher Forum. And this is a group that serve as advisors to the superintendent, and they do a lot of work on behalf of the school district. And they're with us this morning. So if you can stand, turn around, let this crowd see who you are, and please join me in thanking them for the work they do. Anytime I have an opportunity to stand in front of a crowd, I like to talk a little bit about where we came from as a school district, because, as time progresses, we lose a little bit of our history. I don't want to see that happen in our school district. And there is a book that I've oftentimes referenced that was written by Ella Popes, and it talks about our school district dating back to its inception in the late 1800s. And I shared a little bit of this with you last year at the State of the District, but our very first board chair was Charles Petty, and he served as the proprietor of the Carolina Spartan, which is now the Spartanburg Herald Journal. And as we began these city schools in 1883, 130 years ago, he said this: our intention is to put the best and most thorough instruction possible in the reach of every child in this school district. And I just want you to know that, a century and a half later, that is still our intention today. And we've spent this last couple of years really stepping back and having a conversation about who we are and what's our purpose and what do we want to be about as a school district. What are the things that we value as an organization? This culminated on March the 17th of last year at Converse College. Franklin Covey came in and facilitated a wonderful discussion with our community, and many of you took part in that conversation. And I want to just share some of the things that were captured with the visual recorder from that day. So the question was asked, how many of you have children in here? Grandchildren? Yeah, 2 hands go up for that one. So the question was asked, what is it that you want for your children? And as people started having these table conversations, these were some of the things that came out. I want them to have a sense of purpose, a sense of community, to find their voice, to be confident, to be hopeful, to be resilient, to have integrity, the work ethic that they need. I want them to be global citizens and work well together, to have that integrity that's so needed. And I think that's what we all aspire to see with the children who are coming through today. And we took that, and as we really started thinking about who we wanted to be, now what you didn't see up there was, I want them to have the highest grade point average. I want to make sure that they score in the top 10%, on their standardized tests. You didn't see those things. They're important, but at the end of the day, these are the things that we aspire to see and have with our children. So with that in mind, went back to our old history book. This is P.T. Brawley. He was our 5th superintendent, math guy at that. Nothing against math people, but they don't usually think like this, Bernard. Bernard's our math specialist for the district. But this is what he said, in 1893. He said this whole notion of bringing kids into a classroom and just, preaching facts at them needs to be changed. That's not all that matters. He said our work is not alone to store the minds of pupils with facts, but rather to effect that systematic mental, the moral, and the physical development. Those are the things that are best calculated to make noble and useful men and women. So way back then, he was saying we need a profile of a graduate. And this is exactly where we've moved to in South Carolina. In this state, we have adopted this profile. Every entity that's responsible for working with children, our statewide Chamber of Commerce, the Education Oversight Committee, you name it, this is the driving force behind what's going on with our children now. And essentially, there are 3 things with this profile that we're trying to focus on with our children today. First of all, we've got to have this knowledge piece. We've got to continue to work with our children in the classroom on teaching them, the math, the science, the social studies, those foreign languages, all of those things that are so critical. But there's so much more to the development of our children today. So we know now that our students have to have these skills. And those of you who are in the business sector, as they come to you, you want to make sure that they can collaborate, that they can think critically, that they can work on a team, that they can communicate and do all of those things, and that they know how to learn. Information's coming at us so quickly now, we want to make sure that they know how to learn. I was told these are the things that'll get you a job. These are the things that will help you keep your job. Having that integrity, that self-direction, that perseverance, that work ethic, and those interpersonal skills. So as we move forward and as we're redefining who we are as a district, we've taken all of these things into account. And we have a new mission in School District 7 right now. And I don't expect for you to walk out of here and memorize that mission, but if you can remember 2 words, it will mean a lot to us. And our mission is to inspire and equip. To inspire and equip. Now, looking at it from a much larger perspective, it says we will inspire and equip our students for meaningful lives of leadership and service as world citizens. So this is the new mission that we have for the children in District 7, and this is going to guide our decisions and everything we do moving forward. We still have these big, hairy, audacious goals that Jim Collins talks about in Good to Great. And we don't apologize. These are our aspirations. We want to be the district of choice. We want to be the most innovative district in South Carolina. And we want to be a model school district in the Southeast. Those are the things we're aspiring to do and to be as an organization. Hadn't done this in a while. It's been about 3 years since I've really given you an overview of how we look today, but I think this is important. So as we look at our students today, we have 7,100 students in our school district. Now this includes our children who are 3 years old, 3K, 4K through 12th grade, 7,100 students. The next slide that I'm going to share, you're going to see a different number because these are the children in kindergarten through 12th grade. That's an important number because that's where our state funding comes from, okay? So just to kind of let you know how we look as a school district with our enrollment today. How many of you came through District 7 schools? I'm just curious. Okay, so a lot of graduates in here. Well, you can see in 2006, 2007, what our enrollment looked like. And over the years, you can kind of see how that trend looks. So over this 4-year period, we lost about 550 students. Now, if you were to take this back another 10 years, you would see that same trend taking place. I think it was back in the mid-70s, we were around 13,000 students as a school district. But with housing shifts and a lot of different demographical changes around here, we saw that decline. From this period to this period, our enrollment really stabilized. And that was such a good feeling, you know, to get those numbers and see that you're not down 200 students. So we enjoyed a stable period of enrollment here. And over the course of the last 4 years, what you've seen has been a steady increase in our enrollment. So I say that to say that we feel really good about where we are in terms of our growth right now, and we know that's going to continue to project upwards. Many years ago, I was at a meeting with Kathy Dunleavy with the Community Indicators Project, and this was something she did, and I just stole it. But she talked about looking at our community from this vantage point. If we were a small village of 100 children in District 7, 100 children, what would we look like today? I think this personalizes it a little more. So today, 56 of those children would be African American, 33 would be Caucasian, 5 Hispanic, 3 Asian, and 3 would be of another ethnicity. 94 of those children are going to be at school every day. Okay? 17 are served in a gifted and talented program. 12 have a learning disability. 79 of them would live in poverty. Qualifying for free and reduced lunch and or Medicaid is the state definition for that. 83 of them are going to graduate in 4 years with their diploma, and just over 80 of them are going to go on to a 2-year, 4-year technical school, and I'll share some of that information with you in a minute. So this is what we look like today. These are our schools. We have 14 wonderful schools in our school district right now. You can all recall about 5 years ago, we went through a major restructuring effort here in our school district. So 14 schools. Beginning next year, we will add another school, and we're so excited to have Meeting Street Academy joining the District 7 family. In fact, yesterday, our administrative team, we held our principals meeting over at Meeting Street, so we're starting to build that relationship right now. We're so excited about this innovative approach with this public-private partnership. So that's what we look like today. Now, very quickly, I want to go through some points of pride because I want to get into some of the meatier conversations that I think are so important with where we are. That 7 that you see has some meaning to it. And if you look at the 7, there are 4 lines that make that 7, okay? And if you were to do that, those 4 lines represent these 4 things behind me: the arts, the athletics, the academics, and those student activities. And in between those spaces, there are 3 spaces there between those lines, and that represents that tradition, excellence, and innovation. So I just want you to know that. So very quickly, I just want to kind of update you on some things that we're proud of. Number 1, we just completed a major undertaking with our most recent advanced ed accreditation process. In fact, they were here the week of the referendum. I don't know what we were thinking about. But this is the accrediting body for colleges, for early childhood programs in many instances, but certainly for K-12 schools internationally. And they, as a part of this, they share what are your powerful practices, and then they give you some improvement priorities as well. And 2 of the powerful priorities they shared with us were as follows. One was they were so impressed with how we went about redefining who we were as a school district in terms of our mission, vision, and our values. So that was one of the things they said that you don't often see. And when they mention something as a powerful practice, essentially they're saying you need to go to this district to see how they're doing this. The second thing that they made note of was what was going on with technology and our digital conversion. So often schools will say, we're one-to-one. And it sounds great to say that. You're giving children a device, and in many cases, that's about as far as it goes. But what they shared, and that was their thought coming in, yeah, we've heard this before. But when they came in, they were so taken aback with what they saw in the classrooms in terms of teaching and learning, and how our teachers are utilizing this technology to really affect change and engagement in our classrooms. Our affiliation with the League of Innovative Schools is something that this whole community should be proud of. The League of Innovative Schools started actually under the George Bush administration and was signed into law by President Obama. At the time, it was one of the last pieces of bipartisan legislation to be signed. We became the 57th district to become a part of this League of Innovative Schools. There are 73 districts now across the country who are a part of the league. And it's all about innovation and bringing this network together to really think outside of the box and spur innovation in our schools. So we're so proud of the work that's going on there. A few months ago, Apple was in our school district. And there are 300 distinguished programs worldwide that Apple has acknowledged. And with what's going on with our digital conversion in our district, we became one of those distinguished programs with our 7 Ignites program in the school district. So something you should all be proud of. I'm going to talk about our work with Gallup Education in just a moment because it's so critical to what's going on with our vision and our values right now. Brandon Bustede spent time here in our community back in the fall and was most recently invited to give a statewide keynote down in Columbia. So I want to talk about that. And this is a picture of Brandon and our whole entire faculty and staff at Spartanburg High School at our opening convocation. So he is truly a Viking now. We talk about exposing our children to global opportunities. Something I think you should be proud of is we mean that. We have a wonderful partnership with China. This is a shot of us signing a memorandum of agreement with Handan, China. This is their superintendent. His district's a little larger than ours. I think he said they've got about 1 million students in his school district. But we worked it out anyway. But we have a wonderful partnership with the Chinese Cultural Exchange Program. They send students here on a regular basis. We're sending students there. We're sending faculty members there. Some of our teachers here have had the opportunity to travel and visit in China. But really exposing our students to a world outside of Spartanburg is so critical to what's going on. I was able, about this time last year, to accompany a group to Rhineland Falls in Germany. We have a partnership in South Carolina with the state over there. And here's Molly Spearman, our superintendent of education, and their minister of education signing a partnership agreement there, trying to bring about more exchange programs with our students. So that's something that we continue to work on as well, and we're proud of that, and I was so honored to be a part of that contingency. I don't like to single schools out, but I do want to mention a couple of things that we all should be proud of. First of all, Spartanburg High School is our only high school. And everything that happens in this district culminates at that high school. So if you want to look at the standard for our school district, all you have to do is look at Spartanburg High. And there's so much to be proud of there. They have been named one of Washington Post's most challenging high schools. I'll never forget the first time they received that designation. I told somebody we've been named one of Washington Post's most challenging high schools. And they said, well, y'all just keep working. Just keep working. I said, no, it took y'all a while on that, didn't it? It's not that it's a challenging school. It's, you've got the rigor there, and you're giving those kids the opportunities that they need. Oh, okay, well, congratulations. So that's what that designation is all about. Newsweek has started publishing America's top high schools, and Spartanburg High School was named one of the schools for beating the odds, because as you look at the vast demographics at Spartanburg High School and the amount of poverty, that we're reaching children there. So we're so proud of that designation. We have 3 schools, Jesse Boyd and Pine Street and McCracken were named Palmetto Gold Schools from the state of South Carolina this year. Cleveland Academy as one of 103 lighthouse schools worldwide. Our Early Learning Center, it's all about quality. They were named, they received that NACE accreditation, which is one of the gold standards for early learning. And then Carver's not here today because they have a big visit taking place right now. So y'all say a little prayer for them. Carver has really been focusing on an initiative called AVID, which is all about helping children realize their college and career aspirations. And they've done such an admirable job. They've been named a school of distinction, okay? The goal now is to be named one of only a handful of demonstration schools. And these are the schools where Avid will send people from all over the country to come and visit that school. And they've done this so well that they've got that visit going on today to determine if they will become that demonstration school. So I'll be reporting to you all on the results of that. They were also recently named through Advanced Ed the first Learning Forward school through Advanced Ed in South Carolina. So we're proud of that designation as well. You'll hear from the corporation in a minute. I just want to say our fine arts program, that tradition that we had years ago, continues today. Our band, our orchestra, our chorus, our fine arts and visual programs, so much to be proud of. Our writing programs, just proud of the work that's going on there. We've got a big play coming up, All Shook Up. So we're looking forward to casting 100 students here. When is that, Terry? May the 26th. So buy your tickets, get them because they sell out. So we're looking forward to that as well. On the athletic front, one of those 4As, a lot to be proud of. I don't want to single any students out, but we're so proud that we have received this General Excellence Award 3 out of the last 5 years from the Spartanburg Herald-Journal. This takes into account all the championships and players of the year and coaches of the year and those sorts of things. But, you know, I've got some athletes up here because some of this doesn't happen. We've got a 9th grader, Maggie Cubitt, tennis state champion this year. We've got Kiana Jeter, who has shattered so many records, was South Carolina's Gatorade Player of the Year for basketball. We've got Chambers Easterling, state championship in tennis as a 10th grader, and hope we'll get another one this year. Austin Scott, who was named South Carolina's football Gatorade Player of the Year and the 4A Player of the Year, and Tavian Feaster, who was named Mr. Football, but South Carolina's Gatorade Strike Player of the Year. So I don't know of many high schools who have 3 Gatorade Players of the Year walking their hallways right now. So we're proud of the work that's going on with all of our wonderful students and athletic programs. But our mission talks about service, and we want to make sure that we're teaching that. Our students in our schools, I don't think people understand just how much they do giving back to this community. Many of the nonprofits out here know because our students raise significant amounts of funds for these organizations. But we want them to roll their sleeves up and be a part and get dirty as well. So these are some examples of some things going on. Our soccer team just finished a community service project. So many of you were a part of what took place at Cleveland Park, and we were as well. Several of our different entities played a role in shaping that, and what a beautiful opening we had there not too long ago. Now, Alan referenced this phase 2 study with Market Street, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about that because so much of what's come about as a result of that study impacts us, and quite frankly, we impact it. And I know we have a role that we have to play in ensuring that we make Spartanburg all that she can be. So I want to talk a little bit about 4 things by way of this state of the district. First of all, there were 4 things that came to light. Educational attainment is something we all need to be paying attention to here in Spartanburg. Number 2, childhood poverty. 3 would be early learning, because that is one of the most effective ways to combat this poverty we're dealing with. And then 4, community support. So some of this will be a little sobering, but some of this will be very, very exciting for us. We've got to make sure we're having a conversation about the importance of education here in Spartanburg and here in our district. And that conversation doesn't start when they move into their senior year in high school. That conversation starts early. That conversation starts at home. And what I want all of us to understand is this. You've got 2 things that I want to reference. First of all, this trend line here that you see in red. This represents unemployment in the United States, okay? And down here you can see the various educational levels. You know, no high school, a diploma, some college, an associate's degree, bachelor's, master's, all the way up to a doctorate. And essentially what you're seeing is this. The less school you have, the more likely you are to be unemployed. I mean, that seems like common sense, but this is real. So as you can see, the more education you get, the more likely you are to be able to have a meaningful work experience. We need to make sure we're having that conversation, that people know that. If you look here at earnings, the more education you have, the greater your earning capacity. We've had conversations in this community that have been pretty much, it needs to be one or the other. And we've got to move away from that. We need to have a conversation about the importance of lifelong learning with our students right now, because the more education they have, the more likely they are to be able to move into that second career, that third career. How many of you are in a second or third career right now? A lot of us. So the more education you have, the more doors you're going to have open to you. This is what we look like as a community right now here in Spartanburg. This represents the percentage of residents we have here in Spartanburg with a bachelor's degree or higher between the ages of 25 and 34. Okay, now, the study has a number of slides that'll break that down even further for you. But if you look at the 10 most populous counties in South Carolina, you kind of see where we stack up right now. And this is something that we've got to continue to focus on as a community, okay? So we're at 20%. We've got neighbors at 35%. You can see Charleston here at about 45% right now. And this is one of those priorities that we have as a community. And we're addressing these things in a wonderful way. So one of the first things we've got to do is make sure our students are graduating. And, I'm proud to stand here today and say that we've seen our graduation rate climb over the last 6 years in Spartanburg School District 7. I was so happy last year to report that we broke the 80% threshold for the first time, and we're at 83% right now. Now, there'll come a day when that'll level off and go back up and come back down a little bit, but we've seen some great work going on across the board in our school district to get that up. And it's because of programs like this that we're able to put a dent, Alan, in what we're trying to do now as a community. We're going to talk about our early college, our partnerships with the community college. AVID is all about helping students to understand and realize and move into that college and career readiness. Our Technology Center still plays a major role. Our Scholars Academy at Upstate, the work with ACT. Cheryl Revels is here from our special ed department. We're having conversations now with the local college about Project Search, which will allow our students to, as they're seniors, the students who aren't on a diploma track, to start working their senior year, within one of these organizations with the hopes of obtaining employment upon graduation. Shot of our early college program, we're going to welcome our 4th cohort next year. So we'll have freshmen to seniors, within this early college program. These students have earned some 1,300 hours in dual credit offerings right now. These are college credits. So they will walk out of Spartanburg High School graduation next year, some with an associate's degree and some with 40, 50 transferable hours. So they have skin in the game right now. And if we can get our kids in early, get skin in the game, then they're going to continue with that education. On the main campus of the community college now, we have a county-wide early college program. And this program serves all of Spartanburg County, and we designate that program for the female students here in our school district. So we'll add our 3rd cohort there beginning next year. Giving our kids an opportunity to take a college entrance exam is another big step. And year before last, we afforded our juniors in our school district an opportunity to take the ACT. The board allowed the district to pay for that, so every child that wanted to take a college entrance exam could do that. And we saw an increase from 172 to 349 students taking that, 92% of the senior class. Our ACT scores, we knew would drop a little bit because we're testing so many more students. So you can see how we looked. And I've got comparative data because, we don't compare. All districts are different, but I know you want a point of reference here. But you can see the state, and you can see where we were this past year here at 18.5 with our ACT. And again, a big part of that was because we tested about 100% of our students, just about that whole senior class. Another key part that's going on right now is ACT Work Keys. And those of you in the business community may be familiar with Work Keys. And essentially what this is, students will take this assessment and it will let employers know their work readiness. It measures those soft skills that are so important to what's going on with our young people, and the students receive a certificate. It can be a bronze certificate, silver, gold, or platinum. Now, most employers are looking for silver or better, okay? I need for all of you to work with us, especially in our business community, to help our students understand how important this is. Kara may be heading off to the Naval Academy, but it's still important that these students work on this particular assessment because it's critical as they move forward, and it's a great thing that they can have in their portfolio as they look for employment in the future. So this is how we stacked up against the state last year. We had 25% with the bronze, 35% silver, 21% gold, and 1% platinum. We had 4 perfect scores in our school district. So again, below the state average, which is something we've got to improve upon in terms of work readiness with our students. If you want to see how we compare it to the rest of the county, again, this was concerning to me because in terms of work readiness, we were at 83.6%, and the state average was around 87.9%. So this is a conversation we've got to continue to have with our students moving forward about the importance and us preparing them for this. And this was the first year we did that assessment as a state. Our advanced placement program, another great way to give our students skin in the game, because with AP, if they make that 3, 4, or 5, then they've earned 3 hours of college credit. And what we're so proud of, we were hoping we hit this last year, but we didn't quite do it. But we know this year we're going to give more AP exams at Spartanburg High School than we've ever given, 650 exams. And we've got fewer students there now than we had here and way back here. So we're proud of that. We've got a 77% passage rate, and if you can do the math, that's a lot of money that parents are saving in terms of advanced placement. I was crossing Main Street the other day. Parent rolled down their window and said, "Dr. Booker, I want you to know my child's on their way to Wofford. They're going in as a sophomore." So these are the things that are benefiting our students and our parents with these programs. 108 AP scholars this past year. Talk a little bit about SAT. We're testing about half of our senior class on SAT right now. You can kind of see how that compares with the state, surrounding school districts. Had the highest SAT average. We surpassed the national average for the 4th year as a school district at 1479. National average was 1462. So again, proud of the work going on there. If you're a parent, you need to know the SAT has changed. So we're back to a new SAT, and that's something that we'll look forward to seeing in the future. We talk about the importance of one-to-one in the classroom, but these computers have allowed our students to do so many more things that they hadn't been able to do. One example is College Application Day. So here's a shot of our seniors at Spartanburg High School in October working through College Application Day, which is a process where all of our children have an opportunity to start applying for college while in school. And I don't think anybody does it better than Spartanburg High School, quite frankly. Just to share a little bit about the results of that, 22 colleges, and I want to thank you for doing this, 22 of our colleges waived their application fees during that day for us. 340 applications were completed by our students during that day. 398 of our seniors participated, which is about 85%. And they saved over $12,000 in application fees. So you've got that many students who have started filling out applications that in many cases might not have done that. So that's something that we need to continue to do. And this is what we look like. I've taken a 5-year average to show you what our students are doing in terms of matriculating on to a 2-year, 4-year technical school, military, or employment. About 45% of our children over the past 5 years from the State Department of Education's report will go on to a 4-year school, okay, about 45%. 37% will go on to a 2-year or technical school. 4% will go into the military, 10% will go straight to the workforce, and 4% on average we hadn't been able to account for. So 82% on average will move on to a 4-year, 2-year technical school, and that's something we can be proud of. This past year, 18% of those students at Spartanburg High School went out of state. Now we hope they'll come back home when they graduate, but that's important because our kids are expanding their boundaries, they're reaching out, and they're looking at different opportunities. That is far higher than the state average and many of the schools here in the upstate. $18 million in scholarships. On the elementary and middle school side, what I can say is this. It's been a period of instability in our state with assessments. We've had, and I know some of our representatives are here as well, so y'all continue to work with us on this, but we've had 4 different assessments in the last 5 years for our students. We had PASS, and then we went to Common Core and went away from Common Core. And then we brought in ACT Aspire last year. That was a one and done. And this year, we're gearing up for a new assessment called SC Ready. So I'll look forward next year to sharing information with you and hopefully some trend data as it relates to these assessments. Molly Spearman, our State Superintendent of Education, is doing a wonderful job. I want us to continue to try to support her in her efforts. She was in the district back in February visiting because she hears such wonderful things. But you all need to be aware that we've passed legislation now at the national level called ESSA, and it's the Every Student Succeeds Act. And this is so important because since 2002, when No Child Left Behind, the federal government has played a major role in what's going on in K-12 education, with what we teach, with what our assessments are, with how schools are ranked. And through this bipartisan legislation, overwhelmingly bipartisan, passed overwhelmingly, they're returning that power back to the states. So South Carolina is in the process now of deciding what will our accountability system look like now. And that's a conversation that they're going to start having with all of our local communities. So if you have a chance to weigh in, or if we call on you and ask you if you can be a part of a meeting with the Department of Ed and the Education Oversight Committee, please take advantage of that. Bill Barnett remembers in 1998 chairing the EOC when we went through this process as a state for the first time. So this is what we're doing now. And again, I've got a quote from Molly that I think really sums up where we are. The days of students in schools being measured on one high-stakes test are behind us now, and that's something that we can all be proud of. All right, I've got to move, I'm sorry. Back to Market Street. We talked about poverty, and if you've had a chance to look at the newspaper today, there's a front page article about some work going on with the United Way of the Piedmont right now. Bottom line is this: poverty is rising in our community, okay? It is rising, and it's affecting our children more than anybody. The childhood poverty rates are rising. I want to share just quickly what we look like now as a state, as a nation, and as a community. This green line represents the United States. This was Spartanburg County, and this is South Carolina. You can see there was always a gap here. Recession hit, and right now we have really jumped up, and we're looking at poverty for children 18 and under, and we're trending with the state of South Carolina right now, something we need to be paying attention to as a community. As a district, just to kind of put some things in perspective, we're at 79%. These are the schools in Spartanburg. These are all of the elementary schools in the county. What's in blue is District 7. So you can see we bookmark both ends when it comes to this. We have schools with 100%, 97%, 94, and 88%. We have a school with 42%, the least amount of poverty. There's not a whole lot in the middle in our school district, okay? Something we need to pay attention to. These are the middle schools and the high school. So with that, how are our children doing right now? And I talked to you a little while ago about the work we're doing with Gallup. And one of the things we started doing last year was asking our 5th through 12th graders, essentially, guys, how are you doing? And this year, one of the indexes that they talk about, they've got what's called a HOPE index. And what we found is in our district, 52% of our children, Gallup would consider to be very hopeful. And they're optimistic about their future. They're energized. They've got the ideas that they need to move forward. 34% would be stuck, okay? And then 14% would be discouraged right now. So 48% of the children in our school district would be stuck or discouraged, something I want us to all think about. Now, the good news is that surpasses the national average. Our mean score is higher than the nation. But our children, we have a lot of children right now who we need to ensure that they have the tools and the resources, that they're inspired and equipped. The question that I'm paying attention to the most is this one. There was a statement that said, I have a mentor who encourages my development. And out of all of those mean scores, that was the lowest mean score we had from that entire index. I have a mentor. And typically when we think about mentors, we're thinking about, that at-risk child that, just really doesn't have a lot of resources. And we need to do that. But we have a lot of children from every spectrum who need those mentors. So what are we doing to mentor and encourage and develop that child who's over here that has every opportunity in the world? All of our children need mentors, and that's something where our community can really step in and help. Early learning is one of the best things we can do to combat what's going on with poverty right now. And we have a lot taking place in our community as it relates to this. I've just got up here some examples of some things that are happening right here in the city as we try to move the needle with early childhood education. The work with the Mary Black Foundation, with Way to Wellville, the partnerships with First Steps. I'll talk about Sam in a minute. But our schools, we're expanding what's going on with early learning. And we're also excited about an initiative that's getting ready to take place on the north side. We're working with a number of different groups, with Purpose Built, with Northside, with Institute for Child Success, the Mary Black Foundation. And one of our visions is to create a high-quality early learning center on the north side of Spartanburg where we don't have those opportunities right now. So stay involved, stay engaged as we continue that conversation. Now, moving forward, what are some things we need to work on as a school district? Back to advanced ed. As I mentioned, they will give us some improvement priorities. And one of the things they shared with the board during that exit interview was this. They said, you guys, you've got a lot of great things going on. You know, your foreign language programs in the elementary school, your extended time, you know, your technology, your early colleges, all of these things are great. But how is it all connecting right now? How does it all fit? How do you measure whether or not what you're doing is truly, truly working? Now, we know it's probably working, but how do you know that? So one of the things that we know we need to start instituting is a continuous improvement model. And over the next couple of years, this is going to be our priority. Many of you in the business sector, you know there are different models out there that you can use to work with you on developing that kind of model. BMW, for example, has come over and worked with the Spartanburg academic movement, instituting a Six Sigma process. So we're going to be reaching out to some of you to say, help us do this, because this is going to be relatively new to us. But we want to be able to stand up in every little thing we do, from operations all the way through academics, and say, you know, this is the benefit, this is what's working, this is what's of value and not of value. And guys, it all comes back to this. The one thing I love about this community is we do it all together. We hear this word all the time in Spartanburg now, collective impact. And we hear it, but really what is that? And essentially, it is a framework for us to really address some of the deep, deep, deep problems that we have in our community. But it requires collaboration across all sectors. We used to work like this around here. Everybody was doing great stuff, but going in different directions. We want to get to the part where at least we're going in the same direction, but even better, we're doing it together. So I want to thank you, first of all, for doing this together with our school district. We have so many partners who are engaged in the work that's going on in District 7, and I want to acknowledge you and thank you for that. If you really want to be involved in the schools at an intimate level, reach out to me. We can get you involved. If you want to be involved at a large level, there's no better way to do it than to get involved with the work of SAM. Market Street, during their study, talked about SAM on a regular basis, the Spartanburg academic movement. And John Stockwell is here this morning. I would make him stand up so everybody can see him. Get a partnership agreement, sign it, donate, be a part of this work, because it's all about collective impact. And this was their last Chapter 2 document that really focused on that. So I want to say that is so critical, and that's one way we can really move the needle. We start with our babies, with the Spartanburg academic movement. We take them through college and through career. So it covers every spectrum, and everybody can play a role in that. Last thing I'll mention is this. The good news that came out of that study, and there was a lot of good news, by the way, but one of the things that came out had to do with how this community thinks about its schools. And they shared that, again, this isn't meant to compare districts. What this was meant to show you was how Spartanburg County views the quality of education across the board. And they shared with us on the 23rd that you don't typically see these numbers. They referenced Gwinnett County, Georgia, who has been a 2-time national award winner. They've got these kind of numbers. But this is something we should all be proud of. But the question was asked, as you think about the school district that you know the most, are the students receiving a high-quality education? So for every 10 people that you would talk to in this school district, 8 of them would say yes. So that's something we should all be proud of. But, you know, I knew that. I knew that was the case because on the 15th of March, to see our community come out the way they came out and support our schools, I can't tell you what that's meant to us. You know, and it wasn't one particular area in the community. It was the north side, it was the south side, it was the east side, it was the west side. It was rich and it was poor, it was black and it was white. It was this community. And what we're so appreciative of is this. It told me two things. Number one, we place a high value on education here in District 7. And number two, it said we trust you. And that is the greatest level of accountability that anybody can ever put on you. And what we want you to know is that we're going to move forward in a way across the board that we're going to maintain and build on that trust that we have with our community. So what's next with that is what everybody's asking me. So what's our plan, what's our path, and what's our promise to you? Well, you're not going to see any bulldozers out there anytime soon as it comes to this, not next week. But we have gone to work right now. I do want you to know who's going to be working on these projects with us. Our local architects, McMillan Paz & Smith, will be working on these projects. Harper Construction, and David had to slip out just now. David Wise, right here in Spartanburg, serves as the president for Harper. They're the general contractors on this particular project. We have started working. We've met this week, and the work has begun. We're looking at the new elementary school in Drayton. It will sit on Skyland in this area here. We've finally worked with Packlet Milliken, landed on a spot, so there'll be road frontage here. And we've got a beautiful project that's going to take shape over in the Drayton area that we're so excited about. And they're donating that property to us at no expense, which is something we're awfully pleased with. So 2018, you're going to see a beautiful state-of-the-art elementary school that will serve our district for years to come. At the high school level, they went to work yesterday. We started a little bit before then, but this was Jeff and his staff yesterday around the table with the architect. So this is going to be an exciting time as we design this particular school. MB Khan is the GC on this project. Chuck Sailors is here from MB Khan this morning, McMillan Paz & Smith, and we're looking at 2019 with the new high school. So we're in a building program right now, and it's been about 20 years since we've been able to undertake this type of an exciting project. I want to say a word of thank you very quickly to our operational team, though, because y'all just don't know how much they do on behalf of this district. It takes a lot to run a school district, and I don't think people appreciate that. I don't think people appreciate, 9,500 computers and what it takes to keep those things running. 5,000 miles per day traveled. That's more than what the city's probably doing with their transit system. 4,300 work orders with our maintenance staff being processed. 5,000 meals a day. 453 snacks and 450 gallons of milk on a regular basis. But during this whole referendum, there were conversations that came out, after an article that, people could have read it either way. Well, are you taking care of your buildings? Well, you need to know they take care of these buildings. Our buildings are immaculate, our grounds are immaculate, and we have one of the most dedicated custodial and maintenance teams you'll find anywhere. So, Terry, to you and your staff, I just want to say thank you for what you do. All right? So, you notice that there are 2 dogwood trees behind me today, and I've got that there for a reason. As we embarked upon this referendum, we knew that this was something that we couldn't do as a school district. Law doesn't allow it. So we had to pass that baton to our community to take it and run on our behalf. And 2 people stepped up and said, we'll take this charge on. And y'all know this can be one of the most emotional things that you can ever do. So on behalf of a very grateful community, I want to publicly acknowledge and thank right now Pastor Alan Dawkins. Alan, if you can stand, and Miss Laura Balknight. Laura, if y'all can stand and remain standing. They worked so hard on behalf of this community, and we had an anonymous donor to give to us these 2 beautiful dogwoods, and these are for you. There's an old saying that says, bloom where you plant it, and it's our hope, Pastor Dawkins, that you can plant this at your church or at your home, Laura at your home, and whenever it comes up and blooms in the spring, over the next many, many, many years, that you'll think about our children and that you'll think about the work that you did in helping us to get to where we are right now. So thank y'all for that. So what's the state of the district right now? I'll tell you it's good. But what I want to do, as the people from Advanced Ed left us, they ended up sending us their report. And as I read their report, and the last few paragraphs of that report, it just did my heart a lot of good because I think it speaks to where we are. So what I want to do is let you hear from our team from Advanced Ed. So this is where we are as a district.
In his opening remarks, the superintendent noted that it was a goal of Spartanburg 7 to inspire and equip. At first left largely undefined, one was allowed to ponder as to whether he was talking about the students, educators, or other stakeholders. After spending time in the district, it became apparent that, while the students are the primary focus of Inspire and Equip, all who have time to work in Spartanburg 7 will be inspired to serve students and equipped with the necessary tools to ensure improved student learning will take place. Given the margin of victory of the recent bond issue and the roadmap to improve student learning provided by the improvement priorities contained herein, it seems that Spartanburg 7 stands at the cusp of realizing one of its big, hairy, audacious goals, making District 7 the model district in the Southeast. Clearly, the road to unprecedented growth and student success lies within the grasp of the educators who call Spartanburg 7 their home. The external review team left the Spartanburg 7 school district encouraged by the number of employees and students who are inspired and equipped to move the district forward. While Spartanburg 7 can point to its rich history of significant successes, we believe its best days lie ahead.